this pump track for years now. Our very own Bill Kmet.
All right, so okay. Oh, for the okay, I get it. Hey, I'm new at this. Well, this project, a lot of you know about it, some don't. It started actually about 4 or 5 years. Mark, the bicycle shop owner, and Greg Winter here did a presentation to Rotary, and that kind of piqued my interest. And Mark had set up a portable pump track in the parking lot next to his shop. So I went and looked at it and I said, this is kind of cool. And it kind of was on just a back burner thing for quite a while. And then Robin and I were down at the park and looking at the splash pad and the kid play area. And we said, this is just awesome, but what's next? And the splash pad and the play area are great for little kids. You're not going to find any teenagers running through the splash pad. So we said, what about, you know, the in-betweeners? And so we got to looking at the pump track idea. And the more we looked, the more we were kind of excited about it. And so I presented it to the club, and the club said, this was 2 years ago, pre-COVID, and the club said, yeah, we're real interested. We want to go with this. And so I've been meeting with Sarah at the city, and first they where I originally wanted to put the track, they weren't interested in it, and they said, well, we have this Jensen Park here, and we'd like to use that, and what we'd really like is a bathroom. And I said, well, good on you, but we're not going to build a bathroom with a rotary wheel on the side of it. So you guys can go ahead and do that, but so we ended up deciding that was a good spot. There's houses all around, kids, apartments. It's a really good area to put something like this, and the city already owns it. So Robin and I started traveling around, and I actually went and talked to Mark at the bike shop, and Mark put me in touch with Greg, and we've been kind of mostly conversing through texts and emails and things for quite a while. And he's super gung-ho. His son Jace is an avid bicycle rider, and they really wanted to get involved in this with us. So Robin and I started doing pump track work. We went to various tracks. Paul's going to start a little video that, now you all know that Chris Kuhn has a company called A Huge Production. Well, this is not a huge production. This is a really microscopic production. And when you see it, you'll realize that I don't know how to edit, because at the end there's wind noise and dogs barking, but it is what it is. So. This is a small, simple dirt pump track in Darrington. It's located right in the city park. There's not a whole lot to it. I've never actually seen anybody riding there. I've been there 3 times, but obviously somebody does ride there. This is a pump track in Bellingham. Bellingham actually has 2 pump tracks. Both of them are dirt. This one is in a city park. As you can see, it has a lot of mud. It's substantially bigger than the park in Darrington, but it's pretty sloppy. And I was there on a rainy day and did not see anybody riding in it. This is the other pump track in Bellingham, again, dirt. We were also there when it was raining, and as you can see, it was very muddy. It's in an industrial area that's actually near the waterfront, so it does not have good access to most people or kids in town, and they even have it posted not to ride in the park when it is muddy. This is the pump track that we visited in Avondale, Arizona. It's a city park that has a lot of different activities: basketball, skateboard park,
pump track. The day we visited, the pump track was actually having maintenance on it, so there were no riders. The gates were all locked up. But I talked my way in to get some pictures. The track is very nice. It's in a kind of an unusual sort of industrial, a really nice park. It's in Leavenworth. It's part of the city park that's right on the edge of town. The city park also has a skateboard park. It has river frontage and hiking trails, and it's really quite nice. This particular park we've been to 4 or 5 times. It has always had people there when we've been there, as little as maybe 3 years old, and I saw one fellow who was probably 45. And typically they're between 5 and 50. The neat part about these parks is that you'll see people not only on bicycles, but on scooters and sometimes rollerblades and skateboards, and everyone has fun, everyone gets along. It's something that I talked to a few people that parents, and one mother from Wenatchee says she brings her kids there about twice a week because it's a great place for them to have fun and it's safe. We really look forward to having something like this in our community in Arlington. To be a fabulous asset, and the community would love it.
Yeah, that's for, at least in our area, that's been the hardest part. Getting the state and county.
That little dude's funny.
Ooh, you're good.
Yeah.
So the city is on board with it. However, we're at a bit of a choke spot here. The city has hired a consultant to work with their parks, and for whatever reason, this is taking longer. We don't have that many parks, but it's taking longer than they originally were told. So it was supposed to be done by November, and now it's into spring. So before they have their park master plan, we're just kind of on hold. The other thing is that the city has to approve it. And, we said that, like the splash pad, we're looking for money from outside sources and the club as well. So I think it's going to all happen, but the city owns the property and they have to give the go ahead. So I'm going to bring up Greg now. He has worked with pump tracks before. He's actually done a design that's all his doing. When he first gave me the idea, he said, I think we should do a track with an A for Arlington. And I thought, well, that is just too cool. So that's what he's got done. And he's going to come up and talk about his plan.
Do you maybe want to bring those pictures up on the computer? Hi, thanks for having me once again. I wasn't nervous until I heard how excited everybody in this room is about the pump track. Let's just do the first drawing. Yeah. So I can't take all the credit. I'm the dirt guy. My son, actually, I gave him some ideas of what we were looking for once he gets this pulled up. As far as design.
Trying to get it full screen.
So anyway, you guys can just see by that rough drawing right there. It's obviously just a quick outline drawing. It's got some drainage on there. A lot of the pictures that you saw in that video that Bill put together, the first few ones, they're fun, but super muddy, not practical. Definitely don't work in an environment like we have here in Western Washington where it's wet a lot. The beauty in the design and the building of a pump track is as long as you've got 100 feet by say 60 feet, you can design it any way you could possibly think of. Sorry, I can even move back here. Yes. So you can design them in any way, shape or form to fit in any space. Can you pull up the one with it in the park now? We overlaid it in there. So this design and construction would be like all of the ones that you saw in the latter part of that video, right? It's going to be 100% asphalt paved. All of the surrounding areas within the footprint of the A will also be graded and then built with an astroturf. So no mud, no dirt. City has, less to mow at this point, which is nice. It can be cleaned off with a leaf blower. It makes it safer for kids riding around that way. All the spaces inside it are actually rideable. So it's 100% rideable inside that A. The maintenance on it is next to nothing. It's like turnkey. The plan would be to elevate the entire track about 24 inches above the initial grade that's there right now for drainage. So it wouldn't even be wet in some of the heaviest rains. We would tie into the City of Arlington's stormwater management plan and then hit the ground running. I guess now like questions would be the biggest thing. Jensen Park.
What's the city's desire to have a lot more parking there than, as far as that area?
That was brought up, and I believe that if we could pull up the picture again that shows the park, there's a small piece of land right off the road that the Jensen family still owns that I think Bill would
Triangular shaped piece of land that is fronted to the road, and they talked about.
So right here, this section of land that comes up here to this house, this is all still owned by the Jensen family. Where
Yeah, that's correct. And I did meet with the park consultant and the park board, and I was pleasantly surprised. He was very gung ho for the pump track. He said, I'm recommending these to cities all over the country. They're, low maintenance, they're fun, they're, something that is an asset to the community. And speaking of that, our other continuing idea on it is to have the there's actually parking on the street. There's another access right up here from another street that's by Portage Creek. And I'd like to see a walking trail around the whole thing, because back in here is Olympic Place, which is where Dick Post lived and a lot of our friends have been. There is a cutover over Portage Creek right now that we could tie a track in so that the old people could, which is our other focus in the club, is old people and kids, so that they would be able to like bring their walkers out, and old people like watching kids having fun. So that's a different stage of the thing, the stage 2 kind of thing. But that's parking down here and parking on the other side of the street.
I have a question. Casey.
Hey, Casey.
Hey, I apologize if you said this and I missed it. Is there a goal date for starting and completing?
No, that is totally up to the city. They have to get their park consultant to sign off on what he's recommending that the city does with their parks. And supposedly, it was supposed to have been done in November, and now it's pushed out to February, March. So we're kind of up in the air until that happens. They have to give us an approval. Sarah has some concerns about maintenance. Greg and I talked about doing artificial grass in the center, so there's nothing to mow. And I told Sarah, you guys are already mowing the park anyway. All you do is mow around it. There's less mowing now. So it shouldn't be that involved. They ultimately also would like to put restrooms in there, and that's great. Put a Kiwanis sign on it. a minimum of $250,000. And it could be more. The consultants that said, you know, everything is going up. I'm seeing all our projects are 15% higher now to pretty much construction materials and labor and such.
I think it's been 10 years since we did the disc golf. Remember that? And the cool thing is that I'm pretty sure it's been maintained by the disc golfers and a club that came in. Is that what we would have with this possibly as well? Would there be some
No,
volunteer?
well, we can certainly have volunteers, but it's a city property, just like the splash pad is. So
Actually, just kind of the way that skate parks, bike parks operate when they're built. If you were to leave a broom there, just a simple push broom, the kids are going to sweep it. They want that riding surface to be safe. They're going to take ownership in it, which is the nice part about building it, is that ownership side of things. And the maintenance on it is next to nothing. A broom would all they really need to get it out to where they can ride it again.
we also are, Greg's designing in so that it would have lights. So when we have our winter days, when it's dark at 4 o'clock, and it's planned to be on a timer, so they're not on at midnight and bothering the neighbors. So it'd probably go off at 10 or something like that.
I actually have some facts too. So I do some work with Velo Solutions, which is the leading pump track builder globally. They have 5 projects just in this region here from Seattle north. I was contacted by the city of Lake Stevens, the city of Marysville. They're both eagerly looking at designing and building pump tracks for their neighborhoods. It is the fastest growing sport right now. During the pandemic and last year, globally, bike sales have gone up 64%. E-bikes 150%, which is unheard of. And being in the bike industry right now, it's near impossible to even find a bike that it's grown that much. And it's one of those attainable things that's not just for the 16-year-old kid. The 16-year-old kid's going to go out there with his mom and his 2-year-old little brother and a Strider bike. And the right facility is going to bring people in from outlying counties to come here. It makes it a destination.
And that is actually something that I tried to explain to Sarah, is that, I said, you're going to have more tax revenue if we bring in people that they're going to go to the gas stations and go to the cafes and wine bars. So there's going to be tax revenue that's going to come in. It's not going to pay for the whole track, but I think it will more than help cover any additional maintenance that they would have.
And I also think that, with any donations that come in, my son and I have been talking a lot about this for years. And now that we're gaining this steam, now I think it's time to even get the kids in the community involved by, selling stickers, selling t-shirts, getting aware of what's going to be or what could happen. And I mean, throwing up an extra $100,000 just from the community would make building that thing that much easier, right? To take any stress off the city. We don't want to have them tied to any financial side of it other than the blessing of the land, which would be nice to get involved with the Jensens as well, and maybe even pave that entire parking lot all on our dime. And I think that this community could throw up a big number when it comes to donations for something like this, which would be rad.
Any other questions?
The A is a nice touch. I figured it would look cool from the sky.
Yeah. I know the Duskins would go for the A.
Well, I built one in a day and a half, just 2 days ago in Maltby. It's 198 feet long. And that was just me and my kids. So a commercial project like this, I would say fair, about 30 days. That would be, all the planning, permits, dealing with the city, tying all the drainage in together, working with some local contractors for paving. So a solid 30 days would be a fair window from start to finish.
And Eric Scott has volunteered his services to work with the drainage issues, which is pretty darn nice. So there's more drainage issues there than some locations because of Portage Creek.
It's also just incredibly flat. So
Yeah.
that's why we would import all of the dirt for it. Nothing would nothing would come from on site.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone.